All right, everybody, let's get started. All right. It is that time of the night. Okay, everybody. So, thank you all for coming. Today is Ruby Tuesday. We're here to present Ruby KL 1111. Did I say the right number of ones? No, maybe not, right? All right. So, this event is brought to you by Ruby Malaysian Group and Engineers Mind. You can find us in all these places, and okay, so maybe I forgot one thing here, and oh no, maybe it's here. Oh, there is a slide missing here. Okay, so I have a slide missing from the code of conduct, but we go by the Ruby language community code of conduct. So remember to treat each other nicely. Today's venue, food and drinks, is sponsored by our friends of Shortcut Asia. We turn your ideas into reality. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Amen, and the whole team of Shortcut Asia. It's really nice to be here. And remember to introduce yourself. My name is Helio. You've probably seen me here a few times, and I'm one of the organizers of the Ruby Malaysian Group. Just a couple of the reminders. If you are online, just keep in mind that your profile name, your picture, and your comment may show up online on streams, so keep that in mind. Oh, there you go. That's the slide for the code of conduct. So we go by the Ruby community code of conduct guidelines. Remember to treat each other nicely, and but more details can be found on the URL, rubylang.org/yin/conduct. And without further ado, today you have Azuan that's gonna come talk to us about Kamal. Azuan, you can come over and let's get you set up here. All right, just give me just a second. Let me just make sure that I put you on the stage and you can share your screen. Oh, I think you are sharing the just the sign. Hold on. You share your screen. No, not yet.
Where was it just now?
Click share this only. No, you see you're sharing only the click stop sharing. Now go again, present. Click here. Yeah.
Just now was okay.
All right, guys, we are having a few difficulty here sharing the presentation. Oh yeah, there we go. Share the entire screen. All right, perfect.
Can I do this?
There we go. All right, so we're good. I'm gonna let you run the show now. So let's make sure you kind of. There you go. All right.
Okay. Okay. Hello, guys. My name is Azuan, or some people call me Top One lah. This is years ago. So I don't look like it, but I've been coding for like 10 years plus now. So I'm currently like Japan, doing Go. No Rails. So previously I was at Faith. I left after we got acquired. I think that's kind of like a milestone already. So yeah. So most of the time these days I'm using Go, but I still use Rails for the next project that I will show you. So I use NeoVim. So if you use NeoVim, right, you will often see something like this. I use NeoVim, by the way. Right. So how many of you guys remember this game, Ragnarok Online? Yeah. So this is a game. Is I think one of the first MMO PC game launched in Malaysia when I was in high school. I skipped school for this. Definitely worth it. So this is like way back then, right? So it was in PC. I think a few years back they launched this. Ragnarok Eternal Love. Basically, Gravity, the Ragnarok company, they licensed the IP to have multiple Ragnarok games. This is one of it, one of the first one. It's called Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love. So this is the game that I've been playing for the past few years. Basically, it's kind of like it's still Ragnarok theme, but not really the same as PC because I mean it can't be the same anyway, right? Because mobile and PC totally have different controls, different, and nowadays mobile gaming is totally different as well, right? So this is kind of like how it looks like in the game. So I'm promoting the game also, if you guys know, right? I'm pretty strong already, so I do some stuff also lah. So this is kind of like the gameplay if you guys play the game. And what happened is that when you want to search for stuff, right? You have to go on the game itself. So you have to log in, you have to search the item, and sometimes the item might not be there. But the main thing, I mean, it's normal, right? Because everything is there in the game, right? But it might not be searchable, the details might be missing, right? Mainly because they don't prioritize that, right? They prioritize to the gameplay, but not the info itself, right? So what happened was that I kind of like reverse engineer the whole game, the game client, right? There's some encryption involved there also. Not just me, like got some people help me also. I reverse engineer everything, and then I put all the info in this website, and that's it lah. So this is what this is the website that I've been maintaining for the past few years. It's quite interesting, like the how the reverse engineering works. So in here, basically, there's every info about the game you can find online, so you don't have to log in into the game anymore. And there's some very very specific thing also, like when you attack or something, right? There's some calculation there, right? So all the formula is there also. So people go to this website, they check the specific formula, the element weakness or the classes, right? And they really really use the formula for PvP. I mean, people are crazy about this, right? But I don't play that much. I mean, throughout the info, you guys do whatever they want, right? And another part of this game, right, is that you can sell items on the exchange of the game. So you log into the game, and then there's a exchange feature. Basically, you go to the NPC, and then you say that, okay, I want to sell this item. Rare item, right? They have like 30 minutes to 2 hours snapping period. So during that snapping period, 2 hours, right, you can click buy, but you won't get it yet. So after the snapping period ends, it will randomly give to one of the people lah, right? So that's the snapping period. So this one I just released like few months ago. It's a paid feature lah, for fun, but people pay, so whatever lah. It's okay. I mean, you can support the server, so why not, right? So the whole idea of this is that people really want to know it because you don't want to log in every 2 hours to search for the item, right? That's too much. I mean, we're not teenagers anymore. So basically, this netbot would like, okay, I want this card, and then whenever this item is available, you want to get notification. I send the notification to Discord over there. It's not right. So that way, I don't have to pay for the notification service. You just log in, you just join my Discord, I tag you there, and then you get there. So basically, it's kind of like free, lah, right? Gamers use Discord a lot, so it's a good platform. So basically, I don't have to pay for this notification part, right? So the tech stack is quite simple. Ruby on Rails 7.1 now. I use all the solid stuff, solid queue, solid catch. Most of the content can just be static page lah, actually. But I just keep it in Rails because there's a lot of, because I reverse engineered the game, right? I reverse engineer the game. There's a lot of duplication. They don't really link properly. So I had to clean up the data. And to do that, I just use Ruby. And yeah, while in Ruby, I just put it on Postgres, and then yeah, just it, right? So it's quite simple lah for the tech stack. And then the Snapbot, the Exchange Snapbot just now, right? So that one is using Java and SQLite. There's a reason for this also, but everything is hosted in DigitalOcean, just one instance. 2 vCPU, 4 gig RAM, $24 per month is okay. And I just use one server because this is just a hobby project, right? So I don't want to pay that much anyway. And this is how I deploy the Rails website using Kamal 1.8, 1.9 lah. If you guys not familiar with Kamal, right? So Kamal basically is a tool to deploy any app lah, basically. As long as you can Dockerize the app, you can deploy it. That's it. So language doesn't matter lah, basically. And this is pretty much how I set up the Kamal. It's not that complicated lah, basically. But few things that you want to see here, right? So this is Kamal 1.x. This traffic label here. So this part, right? This is where I want to set up the SSL or Let's Encrypt certificate. So you have to set up using this label. So Kamal, prior to 2.0, right? You use traffic for this, but it's not that straightforward, especially if you have multiple apps on the same host, right? So this one, the way it works is that you have to use these labels on the host this way, and then you have another kind of service to configure all your certificate handshake to generate the SSL certificate and everything, right? It works, so there's no issue. It's just that it took quite some time because I think because during that time, right? So it works for, so Basecamp released this Kamal 1.0. It works for them, and they will be using traffic as well. But I think what they notice is that people keep asking about how to set up SSL, how to do this, how to do that, why this label doesn't work, why that label doesn't work, right? Because, so this is not Rails, right? So this is traffic, it's a platform agnostic, right? Which is good, right? So it doesn't care. But if you're in Rails, I think you kind of expect things to work, just work in Rails, and it doesn't with Kamal 1.0. So what happened is that in Kamal 2.0, right, you see all this traffic config, right, is gone. So this is Kamal 2.0. All I need is just this proxy SSL through, and that's it. So it's really, really easy. And it's kind of like magic. I mean, people don't like magic, but I like magic, so it's fine. So this way, right, it really, really easy to deploy to Kamal. You just set your host, your SSL, and that's it. So this literally all the config, and of course some secrets environment, but generally this is all you need to deploy to Kamal, to deploy using Kamal. In here, if you guys notice, I have two service. One is for the web, one is for the workers. So for the web, basically it's just the Rails server. For the worker, this is where I use solid queue, or if you use sidekick, so this is where you put your sidekick. And you notice there's you can set the IP, right? So it means that you can set your sidekick to be on separate hosts as well. So that won't be an issue. In this case, a bit cheesecake, right? So I just put everything in one host. But yeah, it will just run everything using this. It's very, I think it is very, very simple for me to host the website. And also, right, 1.0, you can't do something like this. So what happened in this, I'll show you a bit on this part. So if you guys see here, right, on this server part, right, so there are multiple server here. So usually when you go to the game, right, it will ask you like, you have multiple clients, like do you want to join the C or Southeast Asia, or do you want to join the Taiwan one, or China, or Europe, or global, right? So they have multiple server for the game. So my Snapbot, so the game or the website itself, it can be a bit, I mean, I don't care which server you're at, everything should have the same card anyway, right? But for the Snapbot, it needs to be on different server. I need to know like this Snapbot is for which server or on which client, right? So what I can do is that, so with Kamal 2.0, right? So what you can do is that you can declare a deploy.yaml. That's kind of like the base YAML. And then you can do something like deploy.server1.yaml, deploy.server2.yaml. And then what you can do is that you can do Kamal config -d. D is for destination. So server1, what it will do is that it will take the deploy.server1.yaml config. So this way, on the same host just now, right? So I have Rails server running on Puma. I have Solid Queue running, but I also have the Java. So this is the Snapbot is on Java, right? So this is on Java, but using for multiple regions, for Southeast Asia, for Europe also got multiples. So this way, I can simplify the deployment lah. So for server one, I just deploy. I can just open port 9002 and different host name. So SSL will be auto configured also. And then for server two, I just change the host, change the port, and that's it. So this is how I can deploy everything using Kamal. Before 2.0, right, it's not possible to do this. So that's why I was waiting for 2.0 to do this. So this one, I think there are multiple use cases you can use with this. But for me, this is how I do it because I'm a bit cheapskate lah, just for hobby project, right? So yeah, so this is kind of like what I said earlier. So traffic is good, but a lot of learning curve lah. And most of the stuff you're gonna find the solution on the GitHub issue, not on the documentation. It's very, very tricky lah. So there are some books or some websites that can help with that, but Kamal proxy really, really simplify stuff. So yeah. But then also because Kamal proxy is still new, right? So there's a lot of feature that might not be available yet. And then on the last part, so what I'm doing right now is that I deploy my Rails app, my Sidekick, right? But because Kamal is just based on Docker, right? So the Kamal config, if you guys familiar with Docker Compose, right? So it's pretty similar. Basically, you just set a web, and then you can also set Redis, and then you can also set Postgres, and basically anything. And as long as you can Dockerize it, you can just host it on Kamal. So previously, I was also using Redis for this, but because I moved to Solid Queue, Solid Cache, I don't need Redis anymore, so that's why it's not there. But previously, that's how I deploy Redis. So I don't need to use Ansible to install or set up the server anymore. And previously, Kamal, before you deploy, usually you want to configure your secrets, your environment variable, right? So previously it was in .env on the root project, but now it's in .kamal/secrets/secret.server1, that kind of stuff. So they changed a bit lah. And aliases also quite useful for me. Like you can do something like Kamal console, Kamal bash straight to the server. Basically, it's just a shortcut lah, right? Nothing fancy, but I mean, it's just nice to have. So if you use Kamal 1.0, 1.x lah, and then you want to move to Kamal 2.x, I think it's 2.3 right now. You have to read the documentation. It's not a lot actually. It's because it's quite straightforward, like quite simple right now. But make sure you upgrade to 1.9.x first, because you can downgrade from 2.0 to 1.9. There's a command that you can use. So you can upgrade and also downgrade from 1.9 to 2.0. 1.8 doesn't have that. So the problem is that if you you upgrade straight from 1.8 to 2.0, if something breaks, you cannot downgrade anymore. So proceed with caution lah. All right, so I think one part that I saw people a bit confused about, right? Because when you talk about Kamal and it's built on using Ruby for deployment and stuff, right? So some people might want to add that into their gem file. I don't do that. I treat Kamal as a CLI tools. So that's how I treat it. So I don't make it part of my app because it's not part of the app. It's just a deployment tools. It's not related to my app at all, right? So that way, it's independent lah. So I don't care about Kamal breaking my real stuff. So it's not related that way. So why not use Doku, deploy, Heroku, that kind of stuff, right? It's a hobby project anyway, so use whatever lah, right? And for me, it's just simple lah. I don't really have to do like the one I showed you just now, right? It's not even 20 lines of code. So yeah, it's simple. Yeah, that's it. So you guys want to find me, can find me here. Anyone got any questions?
Is it able to load balance? How does it handle the load balance between multiple clusters, and then when you do your deployment, how does it handle the traffic shifting without dropping traffic based on it?
Yeah, so so in Kamal 2.0 they have I'll show you. There's a rolling upgrade also. I forgot where is it. Yeah, basically I forgot where is it, but you can configure no downtime deployment as well. The one that I did here, you will have downtime, but there's a command to do that. So the way Kamal works, right, is quite simple really. So if you see this, okay. So you see this line, right? There's a /up for health check, right? So what it will do is that it will build the Docker image, it will pull it. So let's say you have the current instance running. So this one is running. And then you build up a new one, right? So this one, so how does it know that this one is healthy? So Kamal proxy will check this /up. Or so if this is up, right? And then only it will switch. So it's not like, so if you guys are familiar with Capistrano, right? So Capistrano deployment, basically, once you deploy, if it's down, right? But with Kamal, what happens is that if, let's say, if this new image got something happen, something bad happen, right? And then your /up is returning 400 or 500, right? And then Kamal would stay using the old one, using your current image. So it won't bring up, or it won't use this Docker lah. So that way your website will stay up. So you don't have to worry about downtime lah, basically.
Not exactly related to Kamal, but is there a particular reason why your Snapbot still has its own instance for each server that it connects to, be it Europe or Southeast Asia? Can't one bot connect to multiple servers at the same time?
No. So because you can think of it as they are totally from different game client. So it's like you have Facebook for, I don't know, I'm not sure. So maybe Facebook for Europe, or Apple for Europe, and then Apple for the rest of the world. Now they start to change, right? Because of the EU stuff, right? So some authentication is a bit different. So that's how the client works. So it's very per region. So if there's any bug, I need to check for a specific region. Yeah. So that's why I was really looking for Kamal 2.0 because I can do this. So previously I cannot do this, so it's a bit tricky lah to deploy and also to bring up the server.
I have a question. So you mentioned that Kamal 2 Studio is a recent product and there's some features missing. Did you run into anything that you needed for your side project, for your project that is still not available in Kamal and you had to find some workaround?
If you guys know, read or watched the last Rails World presentation last time, right? So they did share a bit, right? Then one of the feature that I'm kind of waiting right now is I forgot what's the term. It's not blue-green deployment, but what? Yeah. A bit like canary deployment lah. So you want to release like 20% for this host, and then the rest not yet, right? So that's kind of like one of the feature that I'm waiting. So I'm using Kamal, planning to use Kamal for one of our main project also. So this is an enterprise project. But yeah, waiting for that one because I think that will really helps. Another way, if you don't do that, then you're gonna have to use AWS or something like for the load balancer, right? I just want to wait for Kamal because it just make things simpler. That's all.
All right, any other
Yeah.
question? All right,
Oh.
thank you so much.
Just curious one. So in your, I guess I want to know more of the developer experience for you. Like I know you've you've used Capistrano before, Ansible before, but do you think that makes Kamal more special than the others?
So if you use Capistrano before, right? So Capistrano is quite. So in a way, it was simple, right? All Capistrano does is SSH, run your command. That's it, right? So in idea, it's simple, right? But the problem with that is that you have to upgrade your host. What if your host got issue, right? And then you have to bring up the host, and then you have to set up again using your Ansible script, and then you run the Capistrano separately, right? So you have an Ansible script just for configuring the server to harden the server or to do whatever, right? And then you have your Capistrano deployment config on your Rails app, right? So it's kind of like separate, right? I mean, in some way, some people prefer that. It is good, right? But with Kamal, right, there's no such separation anymore. What you do is that Kamal set up on a bare server, right? Bare metal server. It will install Docker for you. It will do whatever necessary, like or the SSH key and everything, right? And then you can deploy. That's it. Just one server. So what happens is that you don't care about your server anymore, lah. So if your server have issues, whatever, you just kill it and then you just run it again. You can do the same with Ansible also before. It's just that you have separate script. But with Kamal, just one script for everything, just one config really. Yeah. So for me, that's a very big thing, lah.
Are there any like CI/CD plugins for Kamal so that if you look at an action that could trigger your deployments or something like that?
Right now, I don't think there's any because the way that I'm thinking to use it for deployment right now, the one that we're planning right now is basically you just set up we use GitHub Action. So GitHub Action run your CI, everything pass, and then you just have a new pipeline to build the Docker image, push it to Docker Hub or AWS, right? And then, so Kamal have a Docker base also. Basically, I'm just gonna use the Docker image as the command line, and then just deploy. So I don't need to install anything, basically. Yeah. So that's the one that we're gonna use for our deployment.
Basically, your GitHub runner is going to have the Kamal image.
Yep.
Image and then
Yeah. So the GitHub runner most like either we pull directly from Kamal or just a pre-built image using Kamal, and that's it.
right.
Well, again,
Your runner will need to be able to SSH.
Yep. Yeah. You do need to authorize that. Yeah. That's it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Azuan. It was a very nice talk. And all right, let's get going here. Okay. So let me share my screen. And we will continue on. All right, that was a great talk, Azuan. Thank you so much for coming. I'm always looking for speakers. I'm always happy when there's somebody else that come here to share the stage with me. So, all right, here is the second talk of the day, or the night, if you prefer. Rails 8 and Passkeys. So let's go. My name is Helio. You guys, if you don't know too much about me, I've been working with software development for 23 years. I worked primarily with Ruby on Rails for about 13 years. I was talking earlier here today. My first Rails upgrade was Rails 2 to Rails 3. In case none of you guys were alive at that time, just let me know. Those are the places where you can find me on the internet. Here's the agenda for my talk. I see some familiar faces here, so I'm going to talk one more time what Passkeys is. We're going to look at Passkeys registration authentication, sign up and sign in, if you prefer that. And then we'll look at Rails 8 Passkeys demo code, and then some demo time. So Passkeys, how many of you guys here is familiar with the underlying technology of Passkeys is? How many of you guys here already heard me talking about Passkeys? All right, so this one slide. I spoke in a couple conferences about Passkeys, and I hope this is my last presentation about Passkeys. And this slide is from a conference in RubyConf, Thailand. And if you want to hear me talking more about Passkeys, there's a couple videos online from some conference talks, and this slide is one of them. So Passkeys is a public and private key pair protected by device biometrics used for challenge-based authentication. Passkeys is a W3C standard. There's a bunch of stuff behind it, and that's kind of, after reading and studying about these, that's kind of what a sentence that I came up with. So let me break that in small pieces. So Passkeys is a public and private key pair, right? This is public key encryption, private key to encrypt data, public key to decrypt data. So if you're familiar with that, that's kind of under the table. That's what Passkeys does. Protected by device biometrics. As part of the standards, before password managers joined the W3C working group working Passkeys, the idea is that in order for you to use Passkeys, you have to first have your device do your biometrics. Either your phone is doing Face ID, Touch ID, or Touch ID on your laptop, and so on and so forth. Then later on in the standard's lifetime, the password managers came along, and then you can now store your passkeys in your password manager, so you don't need biometrics. You probably don't have any biometrics protecting your password manager, but that's another story. Use it for a challenge-based authentication. This is the main difference between passkeys and password, right? Password authentication, you go to a website, you give your website your username, your password, and the website authenticates you. In the passkeys world, because it's all based on public key encryption, the authentication is not like that. The authentication is the public-private private key encryption, public key decryption. You come to a website, and you say, hey, I want to sign up, and I'm Helio. And the website is going to send you like, hey, Helio, oh, you're Helio, so sign this data with Helio's private key. And then I'm Helio, I have my private key, I'm keeping to myself. And then I encrypt that, generate a digital signature, send back to the website. And then the website, okay, all right, I have Helio's public key because you signed up before and your public key is public. Then I can decrypt the data, restore the original data. Okay, that's it. The person behind the screen there was Helio, he was using Helio's private key, so I am going to assume that that person is Helio. So that's kind of authentication. That's what challenge-based authentication means. And that's just basically basic public key encryption. There's nothing new here. There's nothing Passkeys here. Just Passkeys just leverage that existing technology. These are slides that I put in all my conference talks as well. So Passkeys ecosystem, it's huge, it's broad. The first standard was created in 2016, W3C, and used to call Web API for accessing scoped credentials. That was the very first name of what we know today from Passkeys. All these acronyms here, they play a little bit of a role in Passkeys working for you. And we, as most of us here as a web developer, we are like here at the top of the iceberg doing our web development thing. So just to put in perspective that there's a lot of things that happens behind the scene. Anyway, so now that's kind of just a little crash course on our Passkeys. So now let me show you guys what sign up with Passkeys look like, right? So here we have your Rails application. If you're not a Rails developer, you're somewhere else developer, is going to be your web application. And then here you have your user in your browser. Here for device purpose, I use a phone, but it can be your laptop and so on and so forth. So you go to a website and you say, I want to sign up. And then you tell the website, I want to sign up for your service. And then the website will say, hey, in order for you to sign up, I need your public key. I need you to create a public-private key for me, and then for my website, for my application, and send it to me. And then the user is going to use, the user here in the browser is going to use a browser API that will trigger the whole Passkeys flow through your browser and your device. If you're on your laptop, it's going to use your laptop and the device. And then your device, your biometric is either going to be on your phone or on your laptop. I'm just using the phone here for the presentation. And then Passkeys here. This presentation was before even password managers ever supported Passkeys. So your only option was to store your Passkeys in your cloud account, Google account, or Microsoft account. So then my private key gets synced with my Apple account, and then the public key makes its way back to your web application, and then you're signed up. Okay, so this is like the whole flow of sign up. Very different from password, right? So you compare this with password. You go to a sign up page for a password authentication. Provide your email and whatever password you want, either a dummy, a strong, or through a password manager, and then you sign up. So this is what Passkeys is going to look like. And then in the demo app, we're gonna look at the code and see how this works and what you actually need to do as a web developer if you are building Passkeys authentication in your application. So now sign in with Passkeys, right? Sign in, remember the challenge-based authentication, right? So this is what looks like. You go to a website to say, hey, I want to sign in your website. I already have an account there. I already have my Passkeys created there. I already have my Passkeys for their website. My private key, it's on my phone, my cloud account, and the public key is stored on the website, on the application. And then you're going to say, hey, here's some dummy data. Sign that dummy data with your private key that you have for my application. And then if you are in a device scenario, you're going to do Face ID, Touch ID, get access to your private key, create your digital signature, sends back, and then you send the digital signature to the server. The server is going to decrypt that with the public key, and if it matches out, there you go, you're authenticated, you are actually Helio or someone who owns Helio's private key. And what happens here, as far as your application, I'm going to show a little bit more in the next slides. But the only thing that you as a web developer needs to care about is what happens here, is your HTML and JavaScript here, your JavaScript and HTML here, and your server side here. And we'll see what that code for a Rails application, for a Rails 8 application looks like. It's very, very simple. It's very simple because there is a gem that encapsulates a lot of logic for you. If you're in some other stack, there's probably going to be a library that encapsulates the core of creating and validating public key, private key stuff. All right, Rails 8 Passkeys demo application. Here we go. So just the basics: install Ruby, install Rails 8, Rails new, and being Rails generate authentication. So this application, this talk today is kind of is an extension and completing the talk that I gave last month, that I talked about the generate authentication. Oh my gosh, I forgot to put myself in the stage. Oh no, I actually put myself. Okay, all right, sounds good. Oh, actually, I wanted to do something different. Let me see. There we go. That's how I want. Oh my gosh, I was like, today my helper, the other co-host of Ruby Malaysia, Tristan, is not here. He had a scheduled conflict, and so I'm here by myself managing the talk and the online streaming. And I kind of like, I forgot to put myself in the streaming. So I'm talking here, everybody in the streaming, they're not seeing anything. Anyway, all right, so let's move on. So Rails generated authentication is something that comes in Rails 8. They're just releasing these. You just run that command, and it gives you like a very simple boilerplate email and password authentication, and gives you some structure and some opinions on how to do that. Very, very simple. I spoke 2 hours last month about this. Today, I'm not going to talk too much. But if you want to replicate the step in the demo that I'm going to show here today, those are the only things that you need to do. You run these commands, and then you have the basics, and then we're going to see what it takes to put passkeys on top of that. So just a reminder, the Rails 8 Authenticate generator has a few features that comes baked in. They use a model migration, sign-in feature, and a change password by email. That's the only thing that comes with the Rails authentication generator. All right. Once you have that, passkey set up. So that's the gem that I was talking about. If you're doing passkeys on a Rails app, that gem is gonna be on a gem file or gem file lock. I do not think there is another one that you can do it. So you put the gem file, there is initializer, following a little bit of GitLab example here on how that's done. GitLab uses this gem. And as far as code, let's go. So in your Rails application, here are the things that you're gonna need to do. Migration and models, which is going to be your user and your passkeys. The user you already get when you run Rails generate authentication, the passkeys you're going to create. So this is new that you need to create after those 4 commands that I showed earlier. Controllers, registration, sign up, session, sign in. And there's a little bit of views in JavaScript. Tiny HTMLs in JavaScript. The JavaScript is just is the interface between your browser and your server, your browser, and the browser API that actually initiates the whole passkeys flow on your device. So just a sprinkle of JavaScript. And that's what the JavaScript does. It's just making the browser API calls, making the calls to the browser API to initiate the passkeys flow. All right. Let's look now at sign up. So here, remember, this is what the flow that we show, right? So let me see. Let me see here. All right, there you go. So now let's look at, this is the sign up flow, right? I want to sign up, send your public key, create passkeys, device, public key, and so on and so forth. So now let's look into the code that you need to write in our web application to support sign up flow with passkeys. All right, so I'm gonna go here to my other tab. So this is GitLab. This is a repo that I have there, and we're gonna see here what it takes to get the passkeys authentication. So that's the gem. You put the gem in the gem file. So let me make sure that I follow the order here. Okay, let's look at the database migrations that we need to do it. So database migrations, they are all down here. So we don't need to look at schema. In order for us to set up passkeys, we need the passkeys table, the reference to user. It's like I'm a user, I have as many passkeys as I want, labels, and then those things. And then here at your users table, you need this thing here, web of any ID. I think it was only necessary if you're using device in, but anyway, I put in there as well. I'm not sure if this is actually required if you're using this gem directly. There is a device passkeys gem, something like that. If you're using device I think that's why that ID needs to be there. But anyway, so that's the migration. So now let's look into this code here, right? So this is the sign up page, and what does it look like? This is HTML, and then let's look into that. So this is the sign up with Passkeys new. So let's find that file here. So it's not this one, not a controller. We're gonna look at that later. So this is the Passkeys model. You see, it belongs to user and validates a few things. Here the user, I set that web offering ID, and that comes from my gem, which is just a secure random. This is just a secure random UUID. There's no magic there. It's just encapsulated inside the gem. All right, we don't need to look into that. We don't need to look into this. Callback, we're going to look in a few minutes. There we go. Registration new HTML RB. So this is the entire code that you need in order to support this initial phase here. This is a very simple form with email, Passkeys label. I still have here password and password confirmation, but this is because I built this on top of the demo that uses Rails authenticated generator, which uses password. But for what I'm going to show here today, this is optional. We don't need to use. You only need to provide email address and a label to identify your passkeys. So that is the code that we have here. And then that form submit goes to me, I want to sign up registration path, which is exactly what's happening here. So now let's look into what's going on here in your server when you submit that form to the server. When you submit that form to the server, you're gonna run this code, registration sign up, I want to sign up. There you go. Ignore these. This is the password thing. We don't need to worry about these now, but if you don't hear a password, you're just gonna generate a random for you. But I created my user model, and then here's where the Passkeys authentication starts in registration authentication. Relying party is just a helper method that instantiate the web offering relying party. Relying party in the Passkeys terms is your application. And this is coming from the web offering gem, and this is the basic things that the only thing you need to do is your origin and your name. And these are like your domain name and the name of your application. And there's a bunch of other things here, but we're not going to get into details on that. But this gem encapsulates all the encryption, decryption, challenge, and all of that for me. I don't need to worry about anything, any of that. So then the only thing that I need to put on my code is this. I am going to get options for registration, and then I'm going to create these, I'm going to send this hash with the user and the web offering ID. And then here I'll tell that I want user verification required. There's many different types of authentication in user verification for Passkeys. Because we are doing a passwordless authentication, you always require user verification. So I'll leave into there. And then you create that. That becomes your entire payload that's going to be sent back to the browser, and then it's going to follow through the whole Passkeys flow to create your password, to create your Passkeys. And then I'm just using the session, putting all the information in the session, so when it gets back to the browser, my HTML and my JavaScript can get access to that. And then I redirect to the callback path. So these lines of code, these 12 lines of code, it's all you need over here. That's the bulk of these. So now I send all these things back. Now let's look into what's happening here, where you get that the callback, and then you're going to initiate this process. So let's look into that. That is the callback HTML ERB. It's this one here, registration callback. Very simple form with a hidden field, just some hidden stuff. You could use stimulus here and some stimulus controllers to do all these JavaScript way, and not JavaScript way, all like a no page redirect. But here for simplicity, I kind of into like you navigate to another page and then keep going, so on and so forth. But then this page is very simple. It's not going to do anything. but it's going to have a place here to submit, and then here is my public key registration path, right? So that is the endpoint, the form that I'm going to submit here when I get the data here. So that's what this form is about. And then here is the sprinkle of JavaScript. I left over some debugger here, some stuff here for debugging. But basically what you need to do on your JavaScript is, there is a little bit of this here. Depending on how your asset pipeline is, you may need to use import maps, and then you need to put this somewhere else in your application. But after you do a little bit of that plumbing in your JavaScript, you're going to do this. You're going to instantiate these. You're going to instantiate this JavaScript package on that, which just encapsulates the browser API and a few other handy helpers there. And then you're going to do this. You're going to get create option, which is basically create options is my variable with my create options that came from my server. If you get back to the controller, what you're passing that along is create options, which is this variable, which is the result of this call. So you call the gem, you provide some basic information, the gem is going to give you a bunch of stuff, and then you get that bunch of stuff, and then you funnel through the browser API and try to create a passkeys. So this is what triggers this action here. So you get your HTML, you loaded the form, you run the JavaScript, you get that create options, and then you called web-of-JSON create. And then the browser is going to initiate this whole flow here. And at the end of the whole flow, you're going to get your public key. And then the end of the flow is my then here, which gets my credential, which I should have named this passkeys or public key or something a little bit more, not credential, but it gives you that bunch of other stuff, whatever that is. And then I'm just putting that stuff in my form and then submitting the form back to the server. So this callback is totally user hands-free. User doesn't do anything. You just browser, you just execute some JavaScript, get something from the browser, and then sends back to the server. Now we saw these, and then we saw this other part here. Now let's look into what happened when that data arrives at the server and what it would take on the server to do the validation. That comes back to the microcontroller, which actually executes. Here is my public key. And then I get from the session the user attributes, the original user attribute, the original registration, email and passkeys label. And then I create my user, and then I get that passkeys credential that came into the form, and I put here. And then I call again my relying party, which is my gem interface. And now I need to verify registration. And I send all that information. I send this challenge that was created in the first step. That's this information here, create options challenge. That is the public key, private key challenge. I'm not sure if I'm describing these probably correctly, exactly correct, but it's public key encryption challenge thingy. So we don't need to worry too much about it. But you need to pass that to the gem later when you're verifying authentication. And again, because we are doing user verification required, you need to do this. For this particular case, we only support one scenario, which is user verification required. And then, if all these things verify and it doesn't throw an exception here, your passkeys, your registration got verified, everything checks out, and then you can create a passkeys. And then you save your passkeys. And then the user sign up. So then you get this information, and then, okay, you sign up. You just sign up for a service. And then there's a couple other things here that you kind of clean up some session, and then you do this, which technically kind of set your sessions. You now sign up. You're that person. You sign up for the service. Anyway, so this is all the code that that you need to do all this process. Does it look like too complicated? All right, let's move on. Now signing. Let's look at signing. We're gonna do the same process, right? Let's follow the same process. We have the sign in process. Now I want to sign in. Please sign your data. Then create the passkeys and then sends back. Then we'll sign up. So let's look into the signing flow now. What do you need to do on your application to support a sign-in flow with passkeys? Let me close a few things here. You see, I was lately renaming things credential to passkeys. All right, there we go. Here's the sign-in. Oh, no, that's not the first thing. Let's look at the. I need to show these. I need to show these. You know that. Callback. We're gonna look later. New passkeys. This is the sign-in page with passkeys. Very simple form. I want to sign in, and I need your email address. That's this initial process. This is the entire HTML that you need for this page here. And then I submit that to the server. And then I want to sign in. So let's look into now the sessions controller. I want to sign in. So I'm going to look up your user by your email address. And now I'm going to call my relying party, which is my gem or your library, whatever library that encapsulates all the logic for you. Options for authentication. And then I'm going to say, I am going to allow all these users passkeys. I need to tell them, like, hey, I'm the server. I have 5 passkeys, or I have 1 passkeys for this user, and these are the ones that I'm going to allow. And again, we are hard coding here, user verification required, because that's the only thing that we do. And then we set the information in the path. You see, remember the challenge here again, the email address, and the off options, right? The options for authenticate. And then I redirect to the callback. So this is what you need to do here. So this is like a tiny HTML form. This here, whatever you need to do here is like these lines of code. That's all you need. It's like, how many? 10, 11. If you organize these a little bit better, you can get to like 3 lines of code. Or maybe even 1. But anyway, it wouldn't be readable, but you could. Anyway, so that's what you execute here. So now you get to the callback. So let's look into here, what happened in this corner, which is your HTML and JavaScript. That is the callback HTML ERB that we just saw here. Registrations callback. Oh, this is not, okay, that's, no, it's this one, sorry, not this one, it's this one. Sessions callback. Again, a dummy form with a hidden field. There is no user action here. It's just getting data from the server and send to the browser. And then you get from the browser and send back to the server. What the user is going to do is the passkeys flow here. So, and then your tiny JavaScript, again, all the magic happens in this JavaScript package. And then you get your auth for authentication that you get to the server. And then you call web-authen.json.get. And then this .get initiates this flow. Is the browser, is your JavaScript calling a browser API that's going to initiate this whole flow here. And then after all of this is done, you get your digital signature here. That signature comes here as a credential. Again, I should have named this variable a little bit better. But you get that information here. And then you just, again, remember that form that I have above? You just put that in the form, and then you submit to the server. And that's what you need on this portion here. That's all the code that you need in this corner here. So now let's look at the server, the final step here for the authentication. So then look at my form. Here is my digital signature self-session path. And this gets to my controller. Here is my digital signature. I try to find your user by email. And again, relying party, that's your gem, your library that encapsulates all the passkeys, public encryption, and whatnot. I don't need to look at what the gem is doing. But if I don't want to, if I want to study, you can. But it encapsulates all the logic for me. And then I send that passkeys credential, whatever the browser send that to me. I give to the gem, I provide the challenge, and again, the user verification. And then the way the jam is doing is like you use your block, and then you get that, and then it gives back a WebAuthn credential, which is like WebAuthn passkey. The name, I should kind of clean up this credential name here, which is the credential your passkeys. And then it's going to give you that raw ID. You do a strict encode, and then you query your database to see if you find it. And then if you find a stored passkeys for that raw ID that came from the browser, then you got authenticated. And then a basic sign-in count that update your sign-in count on your passkeys. And then here again, that's your method like, hey, let me set the session with session ID and cookie and so on. So I know that this user is authenticated. And then I redirect to the root path or to the after authentication URL. So that's what this whole code here, which again, it's a lot of just boilerplate because the gem encapsulates a lot of logic for you. In pretty much all stack that you have, you're probably going to have a library that encapsulates this logic for you. But anyway, that's all the code that you need here, right? Again, it's like 12 lines of code here, a dummy HTML, a dead simple HTML form there, some more 12 lines of code there, and that's it. That's all you need to get sign up and sign in with passkeys, right? But that's all good in a PowerPoint presentation, right? So beautiful, everything worked, right? So, you guys want to see that code running now in the browser? All right, let's do it. Okay, sign up. So this is what we're going to see. We're going to see this entire flow happening now. All right? So let's get going. Anyway, so this is running on my machine, localhost 3000. It's somewhere here. So you need to trust me, but if I can show you, you see, if you refresh, you get the data here. Apologies for my time zone. It's like a weird time zone, my laptop. But anyway, that's simple. You're not authenticated here. It's the slash URL. There's nothing. There's just a hello. So now let's do a sign up. Sign up is registrations, new passkeys. I just, not plural, singular. Come on. Oh no, registration new. All right. So this is a sign up. Remember that I had the password and password confirmation there. I don't need to do that. So let's do, what do you mean? Tell me an email here so you guys don't feel like I'm faking this up. Give me an email address. Tell them. ampr.br.com. All right, there you go. ampr.br. Okay, I'm gonna copy this because I'm not gonna remember that. So I'm gonna passkeys label, passkeys label, whatever that is, and then I'm gonna sign up. Remember, what we are doing here is what? Is this. I'm in the sign up page and I'm about to hit the submit form. The server is gonna run that code that we saw. It's gonna get back to a callback HTML. It's gonna run that JavaScript code. It's gonna start this whole process, not with my phone, but with my laptop. And then I'm gonna do a touch ID, gonna create a password. All these whole process is gonna happen. And then it's gonna come back here to that callback HTML. It's gonna execute, it's gonna submit that form back to the server. It's gonna run that code that we saw it, and then it's gonna create a user, and it's gonna create a passkeys for me. All right, you guys ready? All right, raise your hand if you think this is gonna work. Now raise your hand, now keep your hand down if you think this is gonna break. All right, let's go. Sign up. So you see, passkeys sign up callback, that's the callback HTML, and then he's asking for my touch ID. So I'm gonna put my touch ID on my fingerprint here. Boom, done. Created, and then in authenticated, ampr@br.com. So this is not an existent before. We didn't plan this out before. So these are passkeys, and this is the passkeys label that we created, right? This is the ID 5. This is the 5th passkey that I created, and this is your public key that's stored in your database. This is your public key that during the registration it goes into the server. You see, it's like that simple. a very simple form in one place, 10 lines of Ruby code there. If you look at the gem, that web offering gem, there is some really interesting code there because it uses all the public-private encryption, it does verification, it checks the challenge against OpenSSL standards. It does a bunch of interesting stuff down there. In one of my conference talks that I was talking about Passkeys, I picked one of these flows. So I don't remember it was sign up or sign in. And we looked at the entire code execution flow inside the gem for those methods to see exactly everything your gem needs to do, your library needs to do. It's really interesting if you enjoy kind of reading and studying this kind of library code base. But anyway, that's it. Let's sign up. It worked. All right. So now if you look here, if I look at Rails C, user.last.email address. So that's the one that we create, right? So we just create. You guys want to create another one to make sure that I'm not faking these, or you guys trust me? Okay, thank you. If you don't trust, you do it again. You tell me another email. You can keep doing this all night. That's fine. So that's the Passkeys. And the Passkeys library created, right? So that's it. That's this whole sign up with Passkeys. It's all that. Now, sign in. We just created an account. Let's see if I can remember that. I think I have that email. Okay, I do have it here. All right. So I'm going to, let me open the, I didn't build a logout page here to kind of clean up your session, but you know, you just delete it, that's fine. All right, now I'm signed out. I don't have a session. I only have the hello there. So now let's sign in, right? Session new Passkeys. That simple form. By the way, there is one other trick that you can do in Passkeys here. When you build this new HTML, you can make it, when you load this page, you can make another call to the browser, and you can ask the browser which Passkeys for this website you have available. I've done this in another Rails application, but for this one, I didn't have time to get that to work on this one. But what that helps your user and you is that if I am in a device, in a browser, in a laptop, in a cell phone that supports Passkeys, when you do that, you don't even need to type your email. You're gonna show the Passkeys that you have for their website and just pick it, select it, do your Touch ID, and that's it. But anyway, we need to type here the email. That's the email that we have, ampr@br.com. Sign in with Passkeys. Oh, by the way, that's what we're doing here now. Remember, we got that HTML page. We're gonna hit submit. It's gonna come back to the browser. We saw these lines of code. Then we're going to initiate this whole process. Then we saw these lines of code, and we saw these lines of code. We saw all this code before, we're just executing that now. All right, Touch ID, right? So, and you see here, it's already identifying these. And I'm going to put my finger, and then boom, sign up. Passkeys label, and that's your public key. Go back to the same page. And ampr.br.com. So that's it. It's very simple and it worked that simple. Anyway, all right, that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. This is, like I said, a simple HTML form here, 5 lines of JavaScript, 12 lines of Ruby. It is really not a lot of stuff, considering the fact that you're relying on a gem that has some interesting code behind the scene. But you as a Ruby on Rails developer, you're used to let these gems do a heavy lifting for you, and then you just use and leverage that. That's it. Any questions, comments? All right. That's a great question. The question is, all browsers support Passkeys? No, not all browsers. All the major browsers and all the major recent laptops and cell phones do. But these are standard. There was the first public version was like 2 years ago, This uses OpenSSL, uses a bunch of stuff. So if you're in an old device, you're on a really old laptop, whether it's Linux, Windows, or Mac, you do not have that. If your grandmother have a really old cell phone, most likely it doesn't support Passkey. The other question is if the private keys are supported in the device in the browser. So as per the Passkeys standard, the W3C standard, your private key is stored elsewhere. It's replicated in your browser, but you can store your passkeys in a couple different places. In your Apple, Google, or Microsoft account. You can store now in your password managers. All the major password managers already support passkeys, so you can save on Bitwise and 1Password, and so on. And you can also use YubiKey. You can put a hardware key, and then you can store your private key in your YubiKey, so it doesn't go anywhere else. Then you carry your YubiKey with you, and then you put your YubiKey in your. So this is kind of what. This is what. Let me. What is this session? So when you do this, so you see, so if I do sign in with passkeys, there is a sign in or the sign in options where you can get a security key, and then you plug your security key in your USB, whatever adapter you have in your laptop, and then the browser in your laptop is going to get the private key from your YubiKey. I can do a phone as well. I can. Oh, that's actually an interesting one. So this is so here uses the laptop, right? Now I can use my phone because I store my passkeys on my Apple account, and if I do these, I can do on my phone. Look at that. That's going to be fun. And I don't even need to take my glasses off. So I'm going to scan these with my phone. So now it shows me a sign in report. Oh, I need to turn on Bluetooth. Hold on. And then, okay, I'm going to do my Face ID here, the same way that I did the Touch ID. All done. So you can sign in with, you can store your, but these happen on my laptop, on my phone, because they both use the same Apple account. But if I had my YubiKey, I could have stored my hardware key on my YubiKey. There is also one type of passkeys that's called device-bound passkeys. That passkey is not the one that you're going to use most of the time, and is bound to your device. So if you create the passkeys on this Mac, the passkeys can only be used on this one. Remember that whole passkeys iceberg that I showed? One of those keywords there is device-bound passkey, which adds an extra layer of security, but at a cost, right? So if I lose my laptop, that passkey is as good as that, because that passkey are bound to the device. They get stored in your cloud account, where there is your password manager, your Apple account if you use Mac. So your options are your cloud account, password manager, or your YubiKey. So these are options. Or for example, here on my Mac, if I do the same process on Chrome, I can save the passkeys on my Chrome account. So if I open my Chrome in my Windows laptop now with the same Google account, I'm going to use the same passkey. The same way that I show here the device on this, I can do the same process on this Mac using Chrome, store my passkeys on my Gmail Google account, go to a Windows laptop right here and do the same process in the Windows laptop because the passkeys, the private keys on my Google account. But the option of no cloud-based is the YubiKey. This whole process here, if I had a YubiKey, it worked as well. One of these talks that I gave here in the meetup, Tristan had a YubiKey, and the same code is going to work. You don't need to do anything else. Okay, so that's an interesting point. So this whole process that we saw here, it doesn't matter whether you're Google, Apple, Microsoft, or you're storing in your YubiKey. it doesn't matter because whoever handles that is your browser and your OS. It's not your web application code. It's not your HTML. It's not your JavaScript. It's not your server. It's not the technology that you have your server. It's your browser and your operational system. All right? Any other question?
Passkey label, does it mean anything? And then let's say for the YubiKey, I don't want to have just one copy, but how do I get a copy? Is there any way to make a copy to your backup device so you lose this YubiKey, you have one stored in your safe?
So the question is, what happens if how you can back up your passkeys? This is one of the biggest criticisms about passkeys, even nowadays. It's difficult for you to move from one walled garden to another. I don't have nice tools on Apple and either Google or Microsoft to export my passkeys from my Apple keychain and take it over elsewhere. But they're still working on improving and building more standards to migrate passkeys or to your password managers. One of the key reasons why password managers came to the table is because they realized that the majority of people, they are not going to rely. I'm not going to trust Apple with my passkeys for my bank account. I'm not. And if I start there, now Apple is doing this, managing all my passkeys for me, the same way that our password managers manage our password for us at a price, but now they're doing for free. And then nothing, and then before I know, Apple is going to charge me a subscription. Now, in order for you to use your passkeys, all the passkeys that you have here, that you created, that you used, what I provided you for free, now it comes at a price. So, because of that, password managers came to the table and started providing users another option. But it is still, if you create a passkeys in one garden, Apple, Microsoft, password manager, A, B, C, it's difficult for you to move those passkeys elsewhere. But you can create multiple passkeys. This demo here doesn't support me to create multiple passkeys, but the data model does. The user has many passkeys. I can go create a passkeys on our website, store that on my password manager. I can store one of that on my Apple account, and I can store one of those in my Chrome account, my Google account. And then it's the same user, three different passkeys, and the server will allow you to authenticate each one of them.
But how does it know which one is picking up? Does it like look up the passkey?
So what happens is, so when that depends on here, right? Where are you as a user? Are you in your Safari, Microsoft, on your Apple device connecting to your Apple account? Then you're gonna pick from your Apple account or for your YubiKey. If you're in your Chrome, if you're in this laptop in a Chrome is gonna give you the option to pick up the passkeys from the Chrome account. Also because you own a Mac, also from your Apple account. All of them support your YubiKey. And also, regardless of the browser that you are, if your password manager is Bitwarden, OnePass, or whatever, the browser is also going to give you an option to get your private key from your password manager. So when you're in your browser is going to give you those options.
So when you sign up, you can choose the YubiKey or
Yeah.
password manager.
Where you want to get your passkeys from. Anything else? You raise a hand first.
Can you do this outside of the browser? While apps and then like
So the question is if you can do this outside the browser. Yes, you can. I don't know much about it. So one of the conferences, a guy asked me whether you can use this for SSH. And I was like, man, this is a public standard. There's a bunch of stuff that you need to implement, but you can probably use these to do SSH or to authenticate via command line. The whole ecosystem is really huge. Remember these? It's like there's way too much stuff here. I only know these little. So you can do these in mobile browser, in phones. You can do in mobile apps. You can do these outside the browser, but I don't know. I don't know how that works. You had a question?
Yes, is it possible for one account to use both password and passkey, just in case the user wants to sign on a device that doesn't support password?
Yeah, so the question is if you can use password or passkeys. Yes, you can. You can sign up with both, you can create both, and you can choose one over another. So so this application here, if I go to session new, it's gonna ask your email and password. But for these users here, we generate a random password. I don't know what it is, but you could sign with both of them. And then depending on your application, but then in that case, your web application, your HTML and so on, your forms and all of that, will have to handle those situations. And I was going to say one other thing. Yeah, so you can use both. So GitLab, I mentioned this in the last meetup. GitLab started supporting passkeys as a 2FA method, and there's a lot of sites that are doing this. Passkeys are not designed for 2FA; they're designed for a password-less authentication. But remember that user verification, you can create a user verification required false or none. There are a few options in there where it doesn't ask for the device, for the biometrics on your device. So you create a passkeys as if it was a really strong password manager that doesn't do the user verification. And those are more appropriated for 2FA methods. And that's what GitLab does in the 2FA. The passkeys that you create now in GitLab for the 2FA is not user verification required. But by the way, Apple already said, even early in the beginning, in the standard phase, that they don't care about that. If your website tells if you're over here if you're over here in an Apple browser or OS, it doesn't care. If you tell the browser, I want user verification not required, Apple is going to do user verification no matter what. So that's kind of not nice because that's a standard. Your app is specifically requesting not user verification, and Apple is saying, I don't care. We're going to do user verification no matter what. They have their own reasons. I don't know. I'm not going to say that's good or bad, but they said that. So sometimes some of these vendors, they will do their own stuff like that. But now GitLab is, I mentioned this because GitLab created these passkeys, but these passkeys with user verification not required, they are not good for passwordless authentication. They are good for a 2FA method. For passwordless authentication, where you don't use password authentication, you need user required through. That's kind of what a little bit of the segue there. I think GitLab is now trying to support passkeys as a primary authentication method. So you do passwordless. You don't use password in RTFE. And by the way, one of the pitching for passkeys is that passkeys by design is that it is a 2FA method. It is a multiple authentication method, multiple factor authentication, because it is like the thing the user is, the thing the user has, and the thing the user knows. Those three things that defines a multi-factor. Passkeys meet two of them. So this what we saw here in this demo, it is considered a multi-factor authentication. With some blueprint saying that the W3C stands like, hey, there is some governing body that needs to evolve to understand. So the passkeys as a multiple factor authentication by design, it's not that black and white. There is some wordsmithing around that. But anyway, that's another detail about the standards that if you get into that. Any other question? All right, thanks guys, thank you so much. All right, let me wrap it up here. Our typical presentation. Hiring shoutouts. First four figures is hiring. They're hiring 2 developers, I think. And you can contact the CTO, Jose Airosa. That's his email address. He's also in Slack. So if you know anybody interested, they're looking for here in Malaysia. They are based in Penang. So they are looking for 2 developers in Malaysia. Remote, but they are based in Penang. That's it. See you all next month, guys.
Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, we've got just a short feedback survey. If you guys just.
Oh, you want to put that in the stream? And,
Nah, I can.
Okay.
I can
All right. So let
just
me end. All right. Bye, everybody. Oh, there's some questions here. Nice. Thanks for sharing, guys. Thanks for the talk. There's some comments here that I missed, but all right.